We're back here on the first team. Joe DeLeone, Ryan Roberts. We're doing our next position group, and our first scouting report episode of the week is going to be for two talented guards. And then eventually we're going to share our top 5 guard lists. Those two players, two veteran players, two guys that decided to stick around, could have entered the last class. And I think, frankly, both could have been selected decently high at different degrees. Those two guys we're talking about are Kansas State's Cooper Beebe and Michigan's Zach Zinter. Ryan, I want to start things off with Cooper Beebe. We're both big fans of his. I tweeted about him. The Kansas State fan base rallied behind my comments about him because he's just such a stout football player, man. He is such a consistent, strong football player. Background on him, because we know that you always have those really good background reports on these players. What do you got for us on Cooper Beebe?
Yeah, so he is kind of looking through his background. He's a Kansas kid originally, Kansas City, Kansas. So not Kansas City, Missouri. He went to Piper High School. He is now, Joe, let me take a look here. He's been starting since 2020. 2020, 2021 were both starting seasons as an offensive tackle, and he made honorable mention Big 12. Honorable mention Big 12 Offensive Lineman of the Year in 2021 after he playing left tackle for Kansas State. Made the transition inside the guard as a true junior in 2022. So we got to see some film at left tackle, got to see some film at left guard. He is kind of just looking through his background, 4-year letterman, 79th ranked off defensive tackle in the class, according to ESPN. So he was a two-way player, 9th rated player in Kansas, rated on ESPN. So not a overly heralded recruit, but he was also a track and field athlete, played basketball for the school. And his dad, who I've actually had the opportunity to talk to a little bit, Tom Beebe, was actually also a college offensive lineman. He played at Pittsburgh States, which is a small Division II school. And his brother, Colton, actually plays tight end at the University of Minnesota. So they have a football family. Blesto report had Cooper at 6'3" and an eighth. So 6'3" and 6'3" and 2 eighths. So 6'3" and a quarter. 332 pounds. So this is a massive young man. And he is what I think of when I think of Kansas State football. Like that, he is the exemplary symbol of Kansas State football, in my opinion. Like he is that background, a little bit under recruited, massive kid, hard worker, football family. Like that's the most cliche Kansas State Wildcat of all time, in my opinion.
Hey, Ryan, that's so unprofessional of you. How dare you share Blesto information? That is just unbelievably unprofessional of you, Ryan.
The good thing is that I'm clearly putting out false Blesto information, which is why the guy is getting so upset that I'm putting out the information, right? Because it's all fake, right? Okay, bud, I hear you, brother. I hear you, stupid.
By the way, Angry Scout Vet, I have to say this, and then we're going to get back to it's hilarious that it's deemed unprofessional for anyone to share the Blesto information. Yeah. Meanwhile, this just terrible, annoying, angry a-hole. It's not unprofessional for him to make a burner account and then publicly criticize media members and
teams
and players.
And teams. He insults teams in scouting spots all the time, man.
Please make that make sense, dude. Like, please make that make sense. I mean, he's just he's an asshole. We're gonna say that.
He is, yeah. And I'm not gonna dwell on it anymore. At this point, Joe, you're right. If any team, whatever team he works for, I know who it is. So I know who you are, NFL Scout Vets, between two people, and they both work for the same front office. But that's another conversation for a different day. I'm not gonna put his name out there on this podcast right now. But Joe, I mean, to your point though, man. If his team found out that it was him behind the burner, he would get fired instantly. Yes. Like it wouldn't even be like a conversation point. It is so dumb. It is so contradictory. Yes, I'm sorry that you're upset that you're a gatekeeper and I have information that you find so deemingly important, but get off of Twitter, old man. Get off of Twitter. Go to the vacation home or go to the retirement home, wherever you want to go. Get out, brother. No one cares. No one cares.
Sorry for getting us distracted. That was my fault for throwing it out there. It was a couple of quick minute rant. I think that you had to get that off your chest. I definitely wanted to weigh in on this. But here's the thing with Cooper Beebe. You hit the nail on the head that he is just a hardworking, just strong prospect that we're adding into this class. And I think that him sticking around sets him up to be the first guard taken off the board. What I love about him is just the general instincts that he has for the position. I feel like he plays with really good technique, really good
Yep.
angles. He is somebody who isn't overwhelmingly strong, but his power in some cases can be deceptive. He knows how to use his power effectively. He's somebody who I think if he's everything goes according to plan, he's right position, hands are in the right spot, he's driving his legs like he always does, he can really drive some dudes off the ball. And then especially as a pass protector,
Mhm.
Ryan, what I love about him is not only does he play with a great base, his feet are good enough to get the job done, and he can mirror well with guys. But I always love players, especially interior
Yep.
linemen, that just know how to keep defenders in front of them. It is something that is such a simple aspect of playing the offensive line position. And I see too many people on Twitter try to overcomplicate an evaluation for an offensive lineman. If this guy knows how to use his body, his hands, his power, his feet to keep a defensive lineman in front of him, he is going to win on a rep to rep basis. Don't ever think a guy like Cooper Beebe is the way that I see it. He's not going to be the most twitchy, explosive athlete.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there's going to be guys that pop up throughout this process that are going to be considered in that contention for this top guard spot because they're crazy, explosive athletes. But Cooper Beebe, just make the pick. Don't think twice. He is going to be a day one starter in the
Well, I
NFL.
talked about it on my notebook last Friday. If you guys haven't listened to on the channel, you should go to your favorite podcast platform and listen to that. But I talked about Cooper Beebe, Joe. For me, he is, of the players I've watched so far, which is a good amount at this point, kind of with summer winding down, he is the safest player I've seen in this class so far. And I question what the upside is to a degree, but I don't question the fact that this kid is at least going to be a good starting offensive lineman in the NFL. Like, there's no doubt about that, in my opinion. Because like you said, 6'3¼ 332 pounds. This is a dense, put together young man. He clearly stays in the weight room and prepares his body accordingly. But the thing that's really interesting is 2-year starter at left tackle. I think that was a great idea. Not take it back. Not great idea, because he played really well there. So it was a great idea for Kansas State, sure. But it is great for his evaluation, the fact that he had that time at left tackle, because the things that you talked about, for a guy that is 332 pounds, there's some preconceived notions that will go in your mind. Maybe he's a little bit clunky. Maybe he's a little bit, his sets are a little short, or his feet are a little bit chaotic. And for me, Cooper Beebe is so controlled, such a patient football player. When there's twists and stunts up front, he sees the game at an advanced level for his age. And I think a lot of that is due to his experience at left tackle. Like, he has been on an island at times during his Kansas State career. That has helped the game slow down exponentially. And seeing it slow down inside in 2022 just felt like he was moving faster than everybody on the field, which is crazy to say for a kid that is 332 pounds, because he does have the requisite power. He does have the requisite strength. I don't think he has the longest arms of all time, but that's why he's going to play guard on the next level. And that's not a concern, obviously, playing inside there. It's going to be 32 and some odd inch arms, and it's not going to matter in the long run. But this kid is a scheme diverse. I could see him playing inside outside zone because I think he's a sufficient mover. I could see him doing some gap power stuff, down blocks, drive blocks, that type of deal. This kid's just it's about an easy evaluation as you were going to find in this class. Like, there's some players that I just look at and say, guys, like, if you're not as high on him as some, I get it, because there is maybe not the greatest ceiling of all time with Cooper. But if you're not at least looking at Cooper Beebe and going, that's a good football player, I think you're missing the boat. Like, I think you're just missing it a little bit. So this, again, is just about as easy as evaluation in the 2024 NFL draft class. Like, he's a good starting caliber offensive lineman at the NFL, maybe a very good one. It's just easy.
Yeah, it is one of those guys where in the class, he's just going to stick where he is. I don't see a way that he goes up or down, frankly, which is good and bad. I don't see him falling off the face of the earth and being like, what happened to Cooper Beebe? He's just such a well-rounded player who's been around for so long that we know what he is. We know who he is as a prospect. I have a top 50 grade on him. I don't want to go as far as to go top 25 for the only reason that he's not the most athletically gifted guard prospect out there. And I would feel a little too generous if I gave him that top 25 grade, having watched and seen guards that did fit that description. But top 50 grade for me means, and he's one of my highest rated top 50 graded guys. He's going to be one of my highest ranked guys in that ordering, where he very well could be a back end of the first round pick type of a guy. I think that's very, very likely for a Cooper Beebe, that, we come back around and it's a team like the Kansas City
Right.
Chiefs or a team like the Philadelphia Eagles that are just like, okay, we need to shore up the interior spot. We need to plug a guard in. Oh, let's take this Cooper Beebe kid. And then he ends up being just a phenomenal starter. And we're sitting here yelling at ourselves, how did we let this happen again? He just feels like one of those guys.
I have a firm second round grade on Cooper. I wouldn't doubt the fact that he could be a late first rounder, depending on the situation, to your point, Joe, because there's some teams in the back end, if they're a really good roster and they just need like one more good interior offensive lineman, they'll be like, yeah, that's where I'm going to put that resource into it. Like, just an easy evaluation. So it's possible. I think it's more than likely probably a second rounder, but he's got late second rounds from a Blesto grade already. So NFL does like Cooper Beebe. I'm a second round grade. I think he's a top 50 football player. You know who he reminds me of? Different position, but like the safeness of him. He reminds me of John Michael Schmitz from last year out of Minnesota. It's like, was there anything flashy about John Michael Schmitz? No. But was there all just a bunch of solid to good about John Michael Schmitz? It's like, yeah. Was he a sexy mover? Was his displacement power the best in the class? Both the answers to those questions are no. But what John Michael Schmitz was, and why he was a second round pick by the New York Giants, is that he was going to be a day one starter the minute he goes to the NFL. Maybe he's not going to be one of the top 5 centers in the 2024 class. Maybe Cooper Beebe's not going to be a top 5 guard. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Maybe he's not going to be a top 5 center in the NFL in a couple years. Maybe Cooper Beebe will never be a top 5 guard in the NFL. But you know a team's going to draft him, plug and play, throw him in at right guard, possibly left guard, depending on what your system is. And I just think it's a very easy evaluation. So I think that this one is eerily similar to John Michael Schmitz, different position on the interior offensive line, but just such a safe prospect that teams are going to love that.
Before we continue on with this video, I just want to tell you folks about an exciting new partnership that we have with this channel with Underdog Fantasy. Ever since I joined, I've been having so much fun. There are so many different exciting games that make watching games during the offseason more exciting. I'm not the biggest basketball fan, but it has made it way more entertaining since I found Underdog Fantasy. And my favorite game to play so far, which I think you should try out, is Pick'em. It is so easy to play. Just pick higher or lower on your favorite player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. Underdog keeps it simple. With their easy-to-use website and mobile apps, pick between 2 and 5 players to fill out your pick'em slip, get every pick right, and take home some cold, hard cash. Use code HACK, H-A-C-K, HACK, like the name of this channel. Use code HACK to get your first deposit doubled up to $100 by Underdog. Go sign up. You won't regret it. You're going to have a blast. Check out Underdog Fantasy. I also want to tell you folks about our other recurring sponsor that we have on this channel, that being BetOnline, betonline.ag, which has all the updated odds, news, and anything for sports betting. It's my go-to source for when I want to be betting specifically on games. I love betting on college basketball or the NBA, especially, again, during the offseason. Always looking for more fun ways to be focused in on some of these other sports. It's betonline.ag and use promo code BELIEVE50. It's promo code BELIEVE50. To get 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.